Okay, welcome to the 4Bs bullish Bitcoin banter and bullshit. This is pod number 181. It's just myself and Dr. Evil 10% here today. I think Look is down the big smoke, working hard. I think bleaching assholes, working under the McDonald's M. Mrs. No Show is
I say, is it now bleaching arseholes but below the Golden Arches?
sounds, yeah, well,
Bit
it's
of
an
a
added extra.
I was going to say it's a bit of a change from just giving out HJs.
Mm, yeah, but look, inflation, people want different services, so
It's
that
that value add, I suppose.
whatever
Differentiation
Benevolent
on the
needs to do to get
market.
by.
Differentiation on the common market.
Exactly. But yeah, we're here again, eh? Another Bitcoin
Yeah,
podcast. What are we gonna talk
I
about
know.
this week?
I was going to say I'm not really, aside from looking on Twitter, I'm not really having much to do with Bitcoin at the moment. I don't look at the price. But you have actually put a couple of interesting stories in here. The first one, which I had to Google, because it's completely bypassed me because I suppose I just haven't really been looking at it too much. I've been waiting for this bull market to actually bloody hit, so I can buy that Lambo.
I know there's been a bit of a civil war. To be honest, it's been going on for about 6 months, and I've avoided putting it on this pod just
Well,
because I thought it was going to blow over, but it just keeps going and going and going.
well,
So
the guy, what's his name? Luke, whatever his name is, he's a dick, isn't he? Like I
can
used to
be.
follow. Sorry.
Yeah, like his personality is, but like to Bitcoin, he's a Bitcoin core dev. So this is Luke Dash Jr. Um, so you remember SegWit, which basically enabled Lightning. Luke basically did SegWit, a lot of it himself. It probably a lot of people basically say it wouldn't have happened without him. So, and that's just in recent times. That's in 2017. When I say recent, it's like 8 years ago now. But before that as well, he was also contributing quite a lot. He's a big contributor to the Bitcoin.
Yeah, he's a big contributor, but he's still a dick.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Which
and
is quite
like,
rare, really, because I always think when once people are Bitcoiners, by and large, I agree with probably 95% of their worldview. With Luke, I think it's the opposite. I probably agree with about 5%. Yeah, he's
yeah, that's why I stopped following because I can't remember what it was, but he was just being a general dick, so I stopped following. Not that he cares.
no,
Um, but yeah, it's just looking into what is it core? What's it called? Core 30 and knots.
yeah.
And I was reading it, kind of going, oh yeah, core. That's the one which I'll be in favor of. And then I read a comparison, and I was just like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. It's basically with knots, which is what Luke, whatever his surname is, wants to bring in. Is he wants to stop the spam, doesn't he?
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, we've got some stories on here. This is just a conversation between Pierre and Luke. So Luke is very much the main advocate for knots. And then you've got Bitcoin Core, which Pierre and Adam Back and basically nearly all the Bitcoin OGs support Core. But basically, in Core 30, which is the latest edition about to come out, essentially it makes it easier for people to basically put links into the Bitcoin transactions that can link to ordinals, JPEGs, all that kind of bollocks. So it doesn't just need to be used for that. It can be used for a whole host of things, smart contracts and whatever you want, really. Like you can link to whatever you want, put some code in there. But Luke is like, no, he's a very much a Bitcoin purist and goes, we should absolutely do not want to be putting any of that crap into the Bitcoin blockchain. So he's put a soft fork or a different version of the Bitcoin software out there called Knots, and it's taken off. It's basically the op return. There's an op return in the transaction ID that got introduced, ironically, to like let Lightning work. And oh, what was it? It came out Taproot. It was Taproot as well. And then BioWare. an unfortunate consequence of allowing Taproot to work and basically make the Bitcoin blockchain be more efficient and smaller, it allowed I could put a web link into the Bitcoin transaction ID now, and then I could link that could link to a picture, and therefore it's an NFT. So Luke wants to get rid of that, and then the core guys basically don't want to get rid of that and actually want to make it more formalized as a feature, as opposed to a hacker feature. And it's just ripping people apart, and it's very hard to follow. It's a very technical debate, a very emotional debate.
I don't understand why they want to make it because I think it's one of the threads which you put in there. It talks about, do you basically want to leave an imprint on the blockchain? And
Hmm.
it's just like it's not what it's for. So I don't really understand why a number of core devs are up for this reinforcing what was a mistake.
I know, because this is the thing, right? It depends on who you listen to. So this little post here is clearly from a person that is supporting Knots, right? Bitcoin Knots is peer-to-peer money. Bitcoin Core is an NFT playground, and yeah, it's and I think this speaks to a lot of Bitcoiners, right? Because I don't care about little encrypted love letters or AI generated art. Yeah, and all I do care about is energy, like my family's energy, which essentially needs to be basically immortalized on the blockchain in the form of money, because that's what we register our time in and our energy in. We use our energy and time to do a thing, and we tend to earn money for that. And I just want somewhere to be able to store that so I can then spend it and enjoy my life afterwards. That's all we're interested in. All we want Bitcoin to do is money, nothing else. And yeah, and that's what it comes down to. But the core guys have a very different kind of take on it, where they're basically just going, look, it's nothing. It's been there for ages. Is it spam? Is it just what the market wants? And Bitcoin Core has been the dominant software in Bitcoin since Satoshi. And I did see the other day that the actual number one software being used now is not. It's just surpassed them.
Really?
Yeah. So at least
So I
Core
when I
30.
looked, it was around about 400 out of 3,000 nodes were
Yeah, so basically
not.
there's of all the nodes, they all it's probably a little bit of a vanity metric. They all the nodes run different versions of Core. So
Uh,
there's only one version of Knots, so essentially all the users were in there. So when you looked at all the versions of software, the most prevalent was just Knots, but obviously all the ones below were Core, but different versions of it. So it basically suggests that the people that are updating their nodes and are upgrading the software, more people have upgraded to Knots than have upgraded to Core, which is interesting, right? Because obviously everyone before is always going to run Core something, one of the versions, but they're probably just their node might just be running and hasn't been touched in 5 years. So
so
that's not
don't know if you know this on the nodes. Could you be running version one of core still, or is there kind of like
just
a cut off?
yeah, there definitely be a cut off, yeah, because there's obviously been quite meaningful changes.
So you kind of think what I was
Actually, no,
thinking about
actually,
is like
I do say that. Apparently, they were all backwards compatible. That's one of the conditions that they don't want to.
cut off the old nodes.
Yeah, they don't want
Yeah,
to
'cause
break
what
up
I'm
stuff.
thinking of is like with Taproot, it exposed us to what was the two things? Fucking ordinals and what the other thing was. It exposed us to those ones. So have do the older nodes are they not able to process the ones with ordinals on or inscriptions? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Maybe it's right in. Put in the comments if you're listening, if anyone knows. I don't know if you will. Um, but yeah, it's just my opinion is it sounds like Luke's unfortunately right on this.
I know that's the problem, isn't it? It's I would be very nervous to have the main software running on something that Luke and a few other guys do. Um,
You'd be hedging your bets, wouldn't you? Because you kind of go, his
Hmm.
appears to be the right one, but you wouldn't want to sell the Bitcoin core. So depending on what fork you are, you'd probably actually keep both. And one would get a shitcoin name, and the other one would be the official one. But I think quite a lot of Bitcoins would probably just hedge their bets on it.
Yeah, it's not good. It's definitely not a positive news story for Bitcoin. It does remind me of the block size, the block wars that was back in 2016, 2017, where the Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV guys, they weren't known as that before. They were basically the big block guys. They wanted to make the blocks massive and to get more transaction in them. But then we had the small block guys that basically went, which is basically the everyone that's left, the Bitcoin Core people, really, and they won to keep the block size small. Basically means anyone can run a node, anyone can um, basically for very cost effective way, basically less than $100, you can just run a Bitcoin node and be part of the network and verify transactions. If you make the blocks bigger, basically it means the type of hardware you need starts to get more and more expensive over time. And ends up being that we need almost a supercomputer to run a full node. And that's what happened to Ethereum. And they had huge blocks, and exactly that happened. There was like 7 nodes, which is why they had to move away from proof of stake into no, out of proof of work into proof of stake, because there's no point mining when there's basically nobody can afford to run a node. So what are you mining? These nodes can just change the code. There's no security in the network now. So keeping the nodes easily accessible for $100, it basically means anyone in the world can set up a node, and that's what we need. We need many nodes for security. The second it gets centralized in the wealthy, then bad things happen. Um, but that debate was fierce, and it was very clear who was right and who was wrong. The characters were just nuts, right? It was Roger Ver, fucking Craig Wright, and a load of nutters on the big block side, really. So even though I was kind of sitting there, and I was relatively early into this space, I think the war was kind of going on when I came in. Um, I wasn't totally kind of convinced where what was happening. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to sit this one out really and see what happens. And just turned out that we got a load of got a few more coins called Bitcoin, and logged into my ledger at the time, and suddenly I had 10% more coins sat in Bitcoin Cash, and then another couple of months later, 3% more money sat in Bitcoin SV. I'm like, all right, I'll. And by then, it all played out. It's very obvious that Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV were not correct. She just dumped them, and he took it as a dividend. I think it was a 10% dividend and a 3% dividend, just on your total stack, which is beautiful. Nothing like that's going to happen this time. No one's saying they're going to create new tokens. They're going to, hard fork away from Bitcoin. This is purely how you run your node and how you interact with Bitcoin. Should blocks have
Oh, so this won't be a hard fork.
no, no. There'll be no new coins coming out. No two versions of Bitcoin. Nothing
It's
like
just
that.
that certain nodes will be like, fuck off to the transact. Well, it won't allow the ordinals or anything like that.
Yeah. And it's basically it is a numbers game as well. It's basically the miners also have to decide what do they run? Do they run knots or core? Um, and if everyone decides to run knots, then basically whether you put spam or a link to an ordinal in there, that transaction wouldn't be accepted.
So, so all those links to dick pics are going to disappear, which you put on.
Well, that'll be the interesting thing, actually. Because we need to be backwards compatible. I don't know whether knots is backwards compatible or not, because they might all be still there. I'd imagine they would be. I'd imagine it's going forward. You won't be able to link any more dick pic NFTs to the Bitcoin blockchain. But the ones that have
Stick
already been linked
dicks,
will stay.
stick dicks, and what were the other ones? The chimp things. What were the chimps called? Bored ape.
Yeah,
Bored
bored
ape.
apes. So.
With some other bizarre ones, but anyway, yeah, interesting point. I don't think we'll stick on here because we'll probably lose the audience of 3 people who are listening. Um, Now, this is one which I read, which you put on about, which we've been talking, I want to say profile last year, about Bitcoin treasury companies going pop. Now, I did read this, post by Sunny Po, someone I follow as well. Actually, sorry, it isn't Sunny Po, it's Molly who he's quoting, and I read through it, and I kind of like, this is just a bunch of words soup, and this is why I hate fiat in the system. So I just feel like it's so all over the place, and it's got no meaning whatsoever. The words, um, I was just like, yeah, the chart, what just baffled me on this one. So I don't know if you've got a better understanding.
But which story are you talking about here?
This is the Bitcoin treasury companies go pop.
I can't see that on mine. Hold on.
So Sunny Po is quoting a post from Molly, Big Magic DAO.
Hold on a second. I've got a synchronization issue.
Ooh,
Uh,
technical issue.
oh, yes, I can see it now. What the hell? God, it's my own freaking thing, you know. Yeah. So, yes, yes, yes. Oh, of course, yeah. So this is Naka, yeah. So Nakamoto. Um, so yeah, another one, right? So this is it's super complicated, right? How they're running these things. These are very complicated financial instruments. But basically, Nakamoto, yeah, it's another Bitcoin treasury company. Their share price has been flying around. I'm sure someone's posted it. Um, they they boomed and then they bust. But what's sad about this, I think this is one of the reasons why I think I put this one in. But they're basically down 50% today. They're down 91% overall. Um, but the people that were owning it is really disappointing. There's basically a load of Bitcoin OGs that got given a load of shares in this company, and then they had to hold them for 30 days, and then seemingly they'd all just dump them. So the shares of Nakamoto just dumped, and obviously this is yet another um it's another treasury company basically that does nothing, right? It literally got created to just buy Bitcoin, put it on the balance sheet, and then hopefully the share price goes up. You dilute the share price to bring it back down, buy more Bitcoin, Bitcoin price goes up. Just basically trying to copy the MicroStrategy model. But they all forget that the MicroStrategy model started with a 500 million pound business, and they were putting genuine money they had on the balance sheet into Bitcoin. And only then did they start raising debt and kind of going a little bit silly. But the start of that was they were using their own money on the balance sheet. These guys aren't really using their own money. They're using initially investor funds. And you can see how far the share price is going down, by the way. It's going down
Yeah,
for
I'm
a
just looking
while.
at the historic, and it started 31st of May 2024, peaked at 22.64, and then it's down at $1.50. It's just oof.
Yeah, and basically most of that's happened, I think. It's slowly bled out and then it's hugely just dropped. So you can see there, yeah, it was it September 13th, it was $2.70. And then 2 days later it was at $1.16, which is a 60% drop. It doesn't look as bad, but this is when a lot of people are getting out. They're given millions of shares, so they're worth a couple of million, and they're just like, yeah, I'll just take the money. Clearly proving that they don't have any intention of holding this stuff for a long time. And the best phrase I've saw got used in Bitcoin Twitter land, and basically these Bitcoin treasury guys, what we're calling them now is suit coiners. So we have Bitcoiners, suit coiners, and shit coiners, and it just fits perfect because they basically are shit coiners, but they're in a suit telling us this company is going to be, outdo the gains in Bitcoin. So buy my shares, and we're a Bitcoin company, Bitcoin on the balance sheet. You're basically buying Bitcoin. But what happens? What really happens behind the scenes? The people that run the business all get rich. Everybody that invested in the thing gets wrecked. Exactly the same as a shitcoin scammer. They create something, They tell everyone it's going to be the next big thing. Everybody plows money in. They dump all theirs. It goes to zero. They run away with a load of money. Shitcoins just are here to enrich the founders and get dumb money wrecked. It feels like that's exactly the same with these treasury companies. And already they're getting found out now. It's all over Bitcoin Twitter. I'm like, good luck to find some smucks to buy your Bitcoin treasury company now because, well, these guys are down 91% in a couple of months after launching. So, I mean, there's another two launching in the UK like this week.
Oh God, that's still a thing. So this is a bit
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Oh,
on the last cycle we had the oh, what's it? What do they call it? It was basically invest against your Bitcoin.
yeah,
Where
yeah,
they'd loan it
yeah,
out,
yeah.
like
BlockFi, Rocket
BlockFi,
Ship,
and it.
get on board.
I mean, they brought one in at the start of this cycle, and it's just like I can believe it's still a thing. But this is the next thing with treasury companies: how to invest in Bitcoin safely. But when there's not a business, like you said, it's just like, well, where's it going?
Yeah. And I think obviously MicroStrategy had the benefit of so many people had money locked up in fiat land that even though we had no intention of buying MicroStrategy, if you do have a pension or some funds locked up in an ISA or whatever that you don't want for whatever what reason either can't or don't want to convert that to real life Bitcoin, you just had this money left over, so they were buying his shares, and I think that's what just pumped it to the moon. And he did outperform Bitcoin's price appreciation for about a 2 or 3 year period. But when there's now 100 competitors that all say the same thing, Bitcoiners have a little bit of money left over, but it's already the majority of it is already in MicroStrategy. So what all you're really hoping for is people sell MicroStrategy really and buy yours instead. But it's just the same money sloshing around, and not everybody's going to do it at the same time. A lot of people are going to leave it in MicroStrategy, and there's a load of like problems, and I think it's just playing out like that, where there's not going to be a load of new money going to all these new companies. It just can't. So it's super sad though. It's really taking down a lot of people with it. There's so many OG Bitcoiners getting listed on the board seats of these companies that I've looked up to and respected these people for years, and now they're doing this for a cash grab. I just go, what you? It's I can see it. You got a million shares. They were worth $22 at some point. So you had 22 million in that company at one point. It's now gone down to $1. So you only have a million left, but still it's £1 million. So it's still a lot of money. But I look at these people and go, you were in Bitcoin years and years and years before me. Surely you're doing all right. Do you really need to sell your reputation for a couple of million quid? And I guess the
I
answer
think
is
some
yes.
people just struggle to stop grinding, don't they? When I say grinding, but like they can't find the purpose in their life, and so they just start doing shit like this,
I know.
try and make more money, whereas it's just
Just
I can
kills
come
me
up with something
though.
else.
Like if I'd made my name in Bitcoin and was like really well respected in Bitcoin land, and these people came along offering me this, I'd just go, fuck off. I'm not, I'm here for the right reasons. I'm here to make Bitcoin money and for the revolution. Making a couple of million quid through shilling this company's stock that I know is going to wreck like the audience that I've built. Like, no, I don't want to sell them out like that. I'd rather use my influence to do something else that can make a couple of million quid. Freaking hell, a podcast can these days. So I just think this they're probably sat on
Or is
tens,
it?
not hundreds of millions worth of
I
Bitcoin.
was gonna say, even if you're that rich because of Bitcoin, maybe you could find something charitable to do.
Yeah, it doesn't have to
There's
be about
plenty of
money.
good causes.
Yeah. If you
But
want to work in Bitcoin, I get it. I want to work in Bitcoin and do something meaningful in Bitcoin. But working for a treasury company
no, you
is not
don't.
meaningful.
No, you want to attach your dick pics to Core 30.
Maybe.
Um, okay.
Let's move on. So
Yeah.
I thought this one was quite good. So it's the most confident people about Bitcoin always the newest. I do think that is so true. So many people that have just been orange pilled do have this. kind of air of confidence that just needs to be smashed down. It normally does get smashed down, just takes some time. And
What do you mean? Do you mean in the bull market?
yeah, well, I think I think they come in, they read a few books, and then suddenly they're like, I've got it, I know it. And they start making predictions, like whether it be price predictions or whatever, and then they quickly stop doing those types of things because they realize that you get Bitcoin now. Congrats, you've been orange pilled. You are 99% ahead of the majority of people, but let's not pretend you know what Bitcoin's going to do next. That's the
People always ask me for price predictions. I
mm.
still go for a trilly.
You might, yeah, just say infinity. Um, but yeah, so basically, like the whatever you learned in the last cycle is probably wrong now. So in 2013, Bitcoin was anonymous. No, it wasn't. Bitcoin isn't anonymous. You can absolutely trace people. And 2017, Lightning fixes everything. Must admit, there's me. That was me in the middle there. I did think Lightning was going to be epic, and we are 8 years later now, and it hasn't really taken off to the extent we thought. We thought it might take a decade, but we're nearly a decade in now, and it is nowhere near. So we've got more work to do there. I don't think it's necessarily Lightning's fault, personally. I think it's just Bitcoin isn't needed for payments right now. It's needed as a store of value, and people spending it day to day isn't really a priority, even in Bitcoin's lives. So why would it be in normies' lives? So I think Lightning's great, but potentially the right product at the wrong time. And then 2021. So it's interesting this that he's put it here because really, I just said this cycle was, I guess Tesla and MicroStrategy came in, but it's more this cycle, I'd say, as institutions.
Yeah, that's my thoughts, and we don't actually know whether it's stabilized it until it happened. Well, until probably 2 years' time, do we?
Yeah. But I
Or
must admit, at the moment, we're saying it's stabilized it, like well, it kind of is, isn't it? Like the price is annoyingly stable, just bouncing around. And I
well,
sometimes,
if we look at the cycle, typically it's like somewhere between November, probably till January, when it hits its peak, isn't it? But then again, that kind of goes in line with this. Whatever you think is going to be wrong. So we'll see. Probably in a cycle. So in 4 years' time, we'll probably know whether it's actually been stabilized. But it kind of brings me on to my points. Is I remember when I first got into Bitcoin, I was like, oh yeah, I could sell some, make a profit, then buy it at a different price. And that is always a temptation because we're coming up to the traditional peak, which is around about November, December. So say it peaks, you sell, and then it's like, will you get back in, or are you actually just going to discover that it wasn't the peak? Could something else be flaring it up?
hmm, I've just realized that freaking Craig Wright has commented on this post. I was just scrolling down.
Satoshi.
So you got S. Taminga. It's basically Craig Wright in here. Here's his little face here. I don't know why he's put some AI picture of himself writing. And he's basically, no, the problem is the original system did work. It was designed to scale, to keep fees low, to function as digital cash. What failed wasn't the system, but the proof of social media, narratives, hype, and propaganda drowning out engineering. Be quiet, fake Satoshi. Truth hurts, huh? So he's basically saying that the very original version of Bitcoin was fine and it worked. So it basically doesn't need these things. It's not anonymous as designed. Doesn't need lightning. And yeah, the prices are all over the place because we messed with it. That's Craig Wright's take. But yeah, overall, I think there's something to that post though, where if you've been in for a cycle, you think you've learned something that will basically play out again, and so often it doesn't, and something new will happen each cycle, that basically changes everything. You go, all right, well now I've got that. Now I can predict the future a little bit. I do think that either this will be big or the price will do that, or and so often it just doesn't tend to happen. Because I guess since 2021, yeah, the price has bounced all over the place. Even this year, it's been stable, but we have still, I think we've doubled. We've gone down to, was it? 70 and then up to 120. It's nearly a 50% drop and a 50% or 100% gain. But anyway, let's move on. What else we got? Oh yeah, we got Shamath. I think this might be an old clip, I think I might have been clickbaited a little bit here. But it's basically Shamath. I'm not going to play the clip. He basically just goes, if we average out the last couple of cycles, um, basically Bitcoin should go over this, and it's got a ceiling there of around 1.1 million, but
Well,
it only goes to the bottom of
I
that
think in the
of
I
500.
think in the videos it talks about the amounts which goes up between cycles,
Yeah,
and it has decreased over time. So I think the 1.2 million saying, oh yeah, it's based upon cycle 2 and 3, and it's well actually because it's dipped every single one, it
mm.
would imply that it'll be lower. So I think
Yeah,
the 400,000 is like the more reasonable expectation. Well, 400,000 still seems pretty damn high, but it just doesn't make sense on how he's trying to do it. And he's just trying to, I suppose, clickbait everyone by saying it's going to be a milli.
yeah, I did think that as well. Yeah, it was very clearly from each cycle the gains are getting less, and it's obviously because the asset gets so much bigger. You can't keep growing it, 1,000x every year because after like 2 years you have the entire GDP of the world in there. So it has to scale down until you've got everything.
Why settle at just the GDP of the world?
But yeah, I did think that averaging it out wasn't the right thing to do. It's like, no, you need to find out proportionally how much the game's dropping by, and then add that drop into the last cycle to go, right, what should it be this cycle then? So it should be less than just the last cycle. But by doing it between 2 and 3, yeah, you've taken an average here. It's like, well, actually the trend is down, so you're definitely going to be too high. But yeah, I just thought I put a hopium in there because we just need a bit of hopium at the moment. It's a bit boring, and I think usually it's September, it's October. It's known as Uptober in Bitcoin land at this stage of the cycle. So October is only a couple of weeks away. It's
Or we need to come up with some new Bitcoin ideas. What about Bitcoin cockfighting? We build a platform so people can bet on cockfighting.
not where you just dress your cock up like a character and just sword fight it to the death.
Pretty much.
Game when we're doing the pilot. We can do the pilot live on here.
Just be mashing against the screen.
What?
Viewers just see a load of scrotum, we get banned off YouTube.
Just tag it ASMR.
Right. So next one, you've put in a story about stable coins. So I, Michael, I suppose Michael, take on this is we always see shit about stuff being banned. So I'm just a bit like, is this just some FUD about stable coins, or is it actually truth?
Yeah, I don't know. They're not talking about banning here, are they? They're talking about limiting.
Restricting.
Yeah. So they're basically going, well, this is obviously the Financial Times. So I assume this is real and isn't edited. But essentially, it says the Bank of England officials said it planned to press ahead with proposals for imposing ownership limits of 10 to 20,000 for individuals and 10 million for businesses on all systemic stablecoins. And because imposing caps on stablecoins is bad for UK savers, bad for the city, and bad for sterling, said Tom Duff, president of international policy at Coinbase. So clearly, the crypto people are in arms up against it, but of course, like it makes absolute sense that they would want to restrict it. They don't want people to be suddenly. Oh yeah, here we are. It's right at the top of the article. the central bank's plan to restrict stablecoin ownership reflects concerns that the tokens could weaken the banking system by draining it of deposits and underscores how the UK has been more cautious on crypto regulation than other countries. They're fucking admitting it here. Like the Financial Times kind of gets it, but I don't think they also don't get it because the reason why they need to be scared of anything is that if people do convert their deposits, instead of holding it in pounds and letting it rot away, they converted it to a stable coin. And then who knows, right? In Coinbase land, if you have stable coins, they'll give you like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8% yield on these things. So suddenly there it makes much more sense to hold them. But what it really exposes, what is really terrifying to the banks, is that well, they're not the banks anymore. It's all held in crypto companies. So the banks will have to actually honor the deposits that sit in their bank, and we know full well they don't have it. All that money is just out there, being lent out, invested, and all that kind of stuff. So if people actually just decided one day to take their money, their savings accounts, just to withdraw that cash, we know the banks don't have that money. And essentially, what these stablecoin things essentially do is they do exactly that, but you don't withdraw it as cash, you withdraw it as a stablecoin. And they don't have the pounds and pence to do it. And in this article, they admit that, which is why they want to limit people so they can basically stop the flow of money out so the banks don't collapse. And it's kind of funny to see it written like this. That I don't think the author of this article probably even knows what they're saying because basically what by saying this you go, well, this shouldn't be a problem. If people want to convert their money into a different form of money that is still okayed by the government, is in a stable coin will be backed by fiat, right? So for every token that is brought of a CBDC or whatever or stable coin, it'll be backed by either dollars or pounds or euros or whatever. So, fiat is still in the equation. It shouldn't really matter, but it has a nasty after effect of exposing that the banks don't have enough deposits to give Coinbase, who want to back their stable coins one to one with fiat, they won't have it because there's not enough fiat in the system to do that and to pay everyone's deposits back. But
Yeah,
instead
it's a
of
funny one because I suppose it's what they're probably looking at is they go about deposits, blah blah blah, but it's also they're probably seeing it as a gateway drug towards full on other currencies which aren't related to fiat, so Bitcoin
yeah,
or SHIB. So I kind of think they're probably looking at it from numerous angles, but also I think the UK is very good at getting things wrong and over regulating things. So maybe stable coins need several regulations about them.
what's the thing, isn't it? It's like, oh, they're cautious on regulation. You just go, well, it depends which side of the argument you're on, aren't you? Like, do we think that if you think that the fact that the banks don't have enough deposits to allow people to withdraw their cash is normal and fine, then you should limit stablecoins and regulation on things like Bitcoin and stop people converting their cash into things like Bitcoin because it will cause the banks to fail, and that is a materially bad thing. If that's the argument you're on, then fine. But I think most rational people, hopefully anyway, when you read this, you go, well, hold on, this isn't a stablecoin problem or a Bitcoin problem. This is a bank problem. Why don't the banks have enough deposits for the people that have deposited? They need to fix that. They should. This is where the entire article should be. And instead of people want to buy stable coins now. Apparently, I think the demand for stable coins I think is hugely overblown. I don't think it's. I actually think this is going to be the next big craze. By the way, it's we've had treasury companies. I think they're at the end of their cycle. I think the next one's going to be stable coins, which it
I
just
thought
gets
stable
boring.
coins were shit coins on the last cycle.
No, these are stable coins, so they don't even go up.
Yeah, but they're still shit coins. They're attached to something which does
Oh yeah,
go
yeah.
down.
Yeah. But I
Because
think this will be the next thing. Probably in fiat land. But there'll be a way of making money, right? There'll always be a way. There'll be companies that run the stable coin, Obviously, buying the stable coin isn't going to work because it's stable, right? The price is pegged to the pound or dollar or euro, so you're not going to make money by buying the token, but you can make money by buying the people that issue the tokens or manage the tokens or whatever. So there'll still be stocks that will go fucking crazy if stablecoins do become uh, some kind of mainstay in fiat land. Then there's money to be made there. There's going to be a transfer of wealth from one system to another. So, but that's just my prediction for a couple of years' time. I think stablecoins are going to be the new big thing that everyone's trying to gamble with, and it's going to be all over Bitcoin Twitter. And just as everyone's stepping up to be part of a treasury company, people are going to be stepping up to be part of some stablecoin bollocks. Um, but yeah, yet again, is the mainstream media basically just admitting that the banks don't have enough deposits, money for their deposits, and that's fine. It's somehow Bitcoin's fault, not the bank's fault. There's no even mention of maybe the banks should be more responsible and have the fucking money they say they have. No, none of that. 2008, since that crisis, so much has been forgotten, and we're just back to the same point.
Yeah, I was going to say they put some regulations in place to make sure they did them a bank and then they took them away in the last few years.
Yeah, yeah. I saw someone posted on Twitter today. What it was something about the housing market. I think it was some kind of Google trend on something about I can't pay my mortgage or something. And the Google trend was at all-time high in 2008. Ah, here it is. I've just found it in my likes. So you got a thing from Tyler here. Help with mortgage interest over time. So who is searching that term? So in 2008, all-time high, and it's gone down. That was a spike at some point here. But as of today, 16th of September 2025, it matches the 2008 spike. So which suggests that we have an all-time high of people searching help with mortgage. Why would they be searching that? Maybe because they need help with their mortgage because they ain't fucking paying it. And what
Maybe
happens when you don't pay the mortgage?
you have to get a job under a golden arch.
You go buy some bleach. But
Oh,
yeah, so who knows? The housing crisis could be happening. I also think we have some massive news coming this week on the Fed as well. Seen Jerome Powell doing the rounds on
it's
Bitcoin Twitter.
printer is coming.
Basically, what he's yeah, many people are predicting the money printer goes burr. So that's
Du-
obviously
du- du- du-
perfect.
du- 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 du-
Perfect for
du- du- du-
October.
du- du- du. Have to get out my find my YouTube video when that happens. Send it round. Was it blinding lights with the cats on it? That's my one when my money printer's going. I send that to groups and it just pisses them off. Anyway, last story, which you seem to have found my wife's posts. I read this and just went, God, this could almost be my wife, but I doubt she even knows what AI slop is. Like quite a lot of these comments fit in. Apart from it's got TikTok, I don't think she uses TikTok, and AI slop, I don't think she knows what it is. But she's also in I told you so land as well. So she wouldn't snap at me about Bitcoin because we're still in part of the bull market, aren't we?
Mm. But I do love this post. I also had a lot of like similarities to it. But the TLDR is this person, frustrated bitwife is her username. And TLDR, my husband is insistent that I listen to his podcast, but it's boring and repetitive. I finally told him the truth, which is that I prefer AI slop over listening to his podcast. Listening to his podcast, he isn't
But
handling it well.
the thing is, it says the last 4 years he's been to Bitcoin, so he's buying it at a good price.
I know, but she's
You know,
just
that's what,
ignoring it, isn't she? He's like, I don't
whereas
have a
she,
problem.
whereas she,
She even says, I don't have a problem with any of it, right? He doesn't care that he's obsessed with Bitcoin. He's just everything he does is Bitcoin. He's done a podcast in Bitcoin, all his time and all his energy. Don't have a problem with it. Her problem is he insists I listen to every episode. He's relentless. If I don't listen to it, he'll nag me about it, make me feel bad for it. If I say I didn't listen, if I did listen, he quizzes me about things he talked about in the episode until he realizes that I didn't listen. And on the 4th of July, I finally snapped and told him I prefer TikTok videos. And basically, he hasn't handling it well. We haven't talked much since. I snapped. He seems depressed. I do feel bad about being so blunt, but that's truly how I feel. There's only way to fix this. How can I let him know I love him and I support him? I just don't want to listen to his podcast, which I must admit, I completely sympathize with that because I don't make anybody listen to this podcast, especially my
Do you,
wife. She
is
hears
that
it
like,
every fucking day. And the last thing she used to, when we first met, there was loads of episodes of the podcast, and she went back and listened to loads, and she really enjoyed them. But then obviously we've spoken about Bitcoin
she
loads.
said she enjoyed them. She was trying to impress you at the time. It's like when Mrs. Evil 10% used to back in the day watch football with me.
Hmm.
The football doesn't happen anymore.
What else doesn't happen anymore?
Well, I've got two kids. I don't need any more. But yeah, I just read this. It did make me laugh. There's a lot of similarities apart from Mrs. Evil 10% has never listened to an episode in her life. She hasn't even read the Bitcoin Standard.
Oh no, she never even listened to a bit.
She's listened to me talk and be like, I can't believe,
That's a podcast.
yeah, I can't believe you have a chat every week about Bitcoin.
I know, yeah. I must admit, I think the way we do it, because we have the stories of the week, is the only way you can do it in Bitcoin to do it every week. Because if it wasn't, and we needed a different topic, you would just repeat yourself literally you'd have the same circular argument about why Bitcoin's better than fiat every single week. Because how many different ways can you talk about
Uh,
Bitcoin if you are just
we could talk about shit coins, but you refuse to have that segment in the show anymore.
yeah, well, yeah, because that's pointless, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, it's my favorite part of the show until you took it away.
Well, this is nothing else. So, but yeah, so and who knows? There's fucking every. I think we all think we're contributing a little bit, and who knows? Like we do have some people listening, and it helps some people. But yeah, I'd never make a loved one force her to listen to it or anything. Because, man, if I wanted to know something about Bitcoin, and I think it's an important story, um, I'll just naturally talk to her about it. So in her eyes, she's like, "Why would I listen to your podcast? Like, I've got you here. I can just talk to you live. I have like the podcast live. I can ask you questions if I just listen to the podcast."
has she read the Bitcoin Standard?
Yeah, yeah, she did when we first met. She read it. Yeah,
So back when she was impressing you.
yeah, yeah. She hasn't. She did buy me a Bitcoin book for my for our anniversary the other day. But I haven't read that because I don't even recognize it. It's the problem when someone that isn't in Bitcoin buys you a Bitcoin book. I'm like, what the fuck's this? It's just like this isn't in my realm of Bitcoin universe stuff, and so I don't recognize the author. Can't remember what it's called. Probably fine, but
I mean, if
it's
in
not in
fact,
the holy grail of Bitcoin books. So there's only about five of them, and there's 1,000 that are just copy and paste from those, really.
in fairness, she did buy me a Bitcoin picture. So this would have been probably the start of when it started becoming the bull market. So this was for Christmas. So I have a Bitcoin picture up there in front of me, which I was bought for Christmas. So
Oh, in front of you, because the one behind you, we bought you.
yeah, yeah, the one it's Donald Duck. No, not Donald Duck. Scrooge McDuck holding a Bitcoin in front of me. So that was my Christmas present, which I kind of went fair play. She kind of has accepted it now. I think this was after an episode of I Told You So's. Um,
Mhm.
After the cruel winter when I think I was told I should have sold it.
Well, she's gonna hate it when we invite her out to the boat, and she's on the boat that lives in the boat, and her job's to clean it. just so she can have some dinner up on deck.
Well,
Like, this is
it's
your
when
punishment for being a
it's
naysayer this whole time.
it's when it hits a milli, and I'm driving around in my Lambo, and yeah, she's in the Lambo with on the number plate. I told you so.
Sweet. Let's rock and roll. See you next week.
Laters.